And many thanks to the National Coalition Against Censorship for inviting me here tonight to honor a friend, Miss Brenda Randolph. Her work stands out really in the field of African studies. It's quite difficult to really overstate the necessity of the work that Brenda has been engaged in. It's really quite foundational, very crucial at this time especially. As I said, Brenda is one who really embodies that passion, right? And that commitment to making sure that people have access. I can go on and on and on, but I'm not the only one celebrating Brenda today. And we have her colleague, Dr. Vanessa Oyuji.
Congratulations, Brenda, on receiving the NCAC Free Speech Defender for Activists Award. It is well earned for championing the creative and cultural diversity of the many countries that make up the continent of Africa. Platforms such as Africa Access and CABA contribute to provoking greater awareness of the varied perspectives and stories that African and diasporan writers and illustrators have to tell. So thank you, Brenda, for working so hard to amplify and celebrate these voices.
Greetings. My name is Nelda Latif. As a children's author and illustrator of stories inspired by African oral tradition, I can think of no greater honor or privilege than to be here to celebrate a woman I am proud to call my friend, Brenda Randolph, on receiving the National Coalition Against Censorship Award. Brenda is a hero to all of us authors and illustrators who aspire to do the vast continent of Africa justice through our uncensored words and art. Thank you, Brenda, for believing that children deserve to see themselves in the books they read, and for believing in the transformative power of culturally sensitive stories that open hearts and minds and inspire readers to be curious, resilient, and compassionate. Brenda, congratulations on receiving the National Coalition Against Censorship Award.
So congratulations, Brenda. It's a well-deserved award.
Thank you to the National Coalition Against Censorship for this award. Thank you to Dr. Evelyn Rich, Harriet McGuire, and the African American Institute for your support. Thank you to my African Studies mentors and colleagues at Howard University. And most of all, thank you to my family. I am grateful to NCAC for giving me the opportunity through this award to promote the authors and illustrators recognized by the Children's Africana Book Award and Read Africa projects. My nonprofit Africa Access, African Studies at Howard University, and the Outreach Council of the African Studies Association have worked together for over 30 years to promote books that tell more than a single story about Africa, as Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie so eloquently put it. In 1970, I spent months in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, photographing the city, the shops, roundabouts, parks, restaurants, mosques, and churches, photographing the people, kids playing soccer, vendors selling tea, fishermen sailing dhows on a sparkling green-blue sea. My goal was to publish a book that countered the dire images of Africa so common in children's books in the US. A book that inspired pride rather than pity, that highlighted African agency and ingenuity. That book was never published. I could not convince a single US publisher that a book like this was needed. In her book, Censoring Reality, award-winning author Beverly Naidu describes the censorship she faced in South Africa when trying to publish books that revealed the reality of state-sponsored racism. My book project and Naidu's faced a common foe: gatekeepers, censors who suppressed authentic voices describing their African life experiences, their histories. Naidu circumvented her South African censors. Her 1985 book, Journey to Joburg, banned in South Africa, became a classic around the world. It was unbanned in 1991 when the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa and a world united broke the chains of the apartheid state. That same year, I read the book Galimoto by Catherine Stock to a class of second graders in Maryland. Galimoto is about a little boy in a town in Malawi who wants to make a wire toy car, like the big boys in town. After I read the story, a little girl, a recent immigrant from Liberia, pulled me aside and whispered in my ear, "Please read more books like Galimoto to my class. These children don't know anything about Africa. They say horrible things to me." Galimoto shows what Africa is really like. 19 years after my experiences with US publishers, I finally had a book about urban Africa to share with children. US publishing gatekeepers were opening the gates to African realities, but just a bit. A recent article in Publishers Weekly pointed to a systemic problem in the publishing industry, a workforce that a Publishers Weekly editor described as overwhelmingly white at every level. True lasting change will only happen when the industry decides to diversify its staff and stop assuming that authors of color are less desirable and marketable. But I do see progress in the industry. I am especially excited by the increasing number of books from writers who are children of African immigrants. Born in the US, but attuned to their immigrant parents' cultures, their books bring fresh depictions of Africa that speak to American youth, many of whom are seeking characters who look like them. Nnedi Okorafor, Tome Adeyemi, Elizabeth Zunan, and Tochi Onyebuchi have published several books, and there are exciting new writers on the horizon, like Safia El Hilo. I truly appreciate this award, and virtually I share it with scores of African studies scholars who write reviews of children's Africana and work year after year on CABA selection committees. To read our reviews and access Read Africa books, go to africaaccessreview.org and visit cababooks.org on Howard University's Center for African Studies page to see the list of CABA winners 1992 to the present. Thank you.